Go ahead, next.
Well, let us together bow our heads and ask God's blessing on this wonderful work commemorating Ara. Good and gracious God, we gather here to ask your blessing on the sculpture of Ara Parseghian and on all who are here and will be here in future days and years. May we see in this work of art the hopes and dreams come to fulfillment through hard work and dedication. May we see sport and games as a source of celebration and delight, as well as contest and competition. May we see it as a form of education of our students in honesty, fair play, and the virtues that make a person successful in life. Bless the world we share and give us the wisdom to take care of one another. Bless those artists who share with you their power to create and allow us to look beyond representation to ideals of goodness, truth, and beauty, thereby opening us more to you. And we thank you, Lord, for the examples of those who come before us, parents, teachers, coaches, mentors of all kinds. And today, Lord, with grateful hearts, we thank you for Ara Parseghian and those who worked and played for him, and all of whom we honor. May we in turn pass on to future generations what they and he handed on to us, thereby helping you in building your kingdom on earth. All of this we ask in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Beautiful statue, beautiful commemoration.
That is awesome.
Yeah. That's good. Do you want just the Parseghian? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our dear friend and our coach, Ara Parseghian.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Father Jenkins. That was a very moving experience for me. I didn't expect that. It's a beautiful statue, and after all these kind things that have been said about me, I can hardly wait to hear what I have to say about it. In any event, normally I don't read speeches, but I don't want to miss anybody. And in the event that I have a senior moment, because I am a senior, I can overcome that. Never in my lifetime did I ever envision that I'd be standing here in these overwhelming circumstances. I have a very strange feeling, as if I'm giving a eulogy at my own funeral. My plans do not include an early departure. I have many friends here, but I wish my mother and father were here. They would be very proud, and I think maybe a bit surprised. When I graduated from high school 66 years ago, the yearbook forecaster predicted that I would become the head football coach at Notre Dame, obviously a shot in the dark. But in 1964, it came to fruition, and what a wonderful run it has been for me and my family. I realize there are so many people to thank in what is phrased the era of Ara. It represents my 11-year tenure and is a significant part of the Notre Dame history and tradition. As I mentally reconstructed the 11-year era, it became clear to me that the number one person that made this possible is Father Hesburgh. He was the one that made the decision to hire me. I know that Father Joyce did the screening of all the candidates and then made recommendations to Father Ted. Thankfully, he chose me and made the 11-year history a reality. Most of you know that I did not approve of this recognition. Now that it's here, I like it. I want to maintain my integrity. Pete Cheverelli and his committee and close teammates started on this project some time ago. I said, no, you can consider it when I'm gone. I guess I didn't discourage them enough because Pete continued in spite of my opposition. And he knew I was opposed to a single statue. So they started down another track. They came back with a new proposal, a new statue which would include 4 people, not just one. They came back with a picture that was taken after the 1971 Cotton Bowl, and you see it here, and thanks to a wonderful job by Jerry McKenna, who did this work. I think it's awesome. This statue represents 11 years of Notre Dame tradition. Many people were responsible for the achievement, the coaches, the time, effort, and sacrifices they made, the loyalty to the program and the university. I think it is significant that 33 years after the last game that I coached here, and 43 years since we started, that many of the coaches that were here and responsible for our success are still in the South Bend area. Tom Pagna, who was the backfield coach. Paul Schultz, defensive secondary coach. Joe Yanto, defensive line. John Ray, who was a linebacker coach and defensive coordinator. Wally Moore, offensive line coach, who brought state championships to St. Joe over here. Brian Bulak, who was on the staff and still serves this university after 30 few years since I've been gone, and he was also an offensive line coach. You know him like I do. Unfortunately, George Kelly, our linebacker coach, is not with us today, but until his passing, nobody worked harder on behalf of Notre Dame and was more loyal. He was a terrific guy and was, you talk about bleeding Notre Dame, George Kelly bled Notre Dame. I think that speaks volumes about respect and loyalty to the university from the coaching staff. Now the players. From my vantage point, I have seen them from raw freshman recruits to successful graduates, then husbands, fathers with professional accomplishments. As I look out there, I see doctors, lawyers, successful businessmen, and men that serve their community with a social conscience. I'm very proud to have been a part of their growth, and I am sure the university shares my sentiments because that's why the university exists. When I was recruiting them, I pushed the university's educational philosophy, the development of the whole person, which involved obviously academically, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. I wish I could single out every one of them today, but obviously time doesn't allow me that privilege. They all know the hard work, sweat, and sacrifices it takes to have a successful program. No one can buy their way in. It has to be earned. That's one of the great things about football. Nobody can come along and give you $100 and say, take care of me, I'm in condition. You pay the price. I have always believed there are many carryover values in competitive athletics, success and failure, how to handle each, because that's what happens in life. We had several sayings during my coaching tenure. One is on your invitation. We have no breaking point. We believe that. That's an attitude. And when you start from the beginning with that attitude, it can make a huge difference in the bottom line at the end of the season. We always said that's what happens to other teams. What's their breaking point going to be? 3 points, 7 points, 10 points? But the other team is going to have a breaking point, not us. Another one was there is no circumstance that we can't overcome. We're going to have highs and lows. We're going to fall behind in games. But there's no circumstance that we can't overcome. That's an attitude. And it prevailed with the teams that I coached, and I'm sure that it had a big effect on them. We all have ups and downs in our lives. Consider those 2 points as you face the challenges of life ahead. Coaches and players, you just don't stop there. So many others played a part in our 11-year era. Father Joyce, who knew the value of athletics and was directly involved with the NCAA. He also had a grip on the purse strings, but could be talked into being generous. Father Reilly, who is here, became our pastor. It's interesting that Father Jim's first assignment was the 1966 Michigan State game, that historic game. Well, he got his feet wet in that one, but from then on, his track record was excellent. Did a terrific job with us, and we've been friends all through these years. And he's sitting here in the third row. Moose Krause, our athletic director, truly a gentle giant. He was a wonderful person to work for. Athletic directors and coaches can have confrontational relationships, but in 11 years, we never had an argument. Gene Paskett, our trainer, Gene O'Neill, our equipment man, unfortunately they can't be with us, they've passed on. Dr. Bodner, who was our orthopedic surgeon, and he's still here in his 90s, which is terrific. All played significant parts in the era. Roger Baldessari, our sports information director, who almost made Theismann the Heisman. Very clever, and he almost got it done. A man well known to our squad members. I know there are former players here today that wouldn't be here without Mike DeChico's persistence. And incidentally, oftentimes profane motivation. He got the message across, and that's why he had a lot of them graduate. I can't say enough about our managers. We had a great managerial program here at Notre Dame. For 11 years, they worked their buns off, and all of us connected with the football program owe them a huge debt of gratitude. 2 others that need to be mentioned. Jim Frawley. He's carried the ball all the way through this. You talk about a guy that has worked his buns off and made this possible. Jim certainly has done that on a hard work. I know what kind of effort it takes to get into that. You had to raise the money, you had to organize it all, and Jim, I really appreciate that. You made it possible. Another special person, and I know he's going to be mad at me when I introduce him, a man that has been a guidance and the godfather to me for 44 years, a man who's been very successful, a great philanthropic person, with a great social conscience, a great Notre Dame man, and certainly has been a member of our board, the Ara Parseghian Medical Research Foundation, since the inception of it 13 years ago. Arthur Decio of Skyline Homes. I can't tell you how appreciative my family and I are for the support you have given to our efforts to find a cure for Niemann-Pick type C. The Notre Dame family has been generous, and I know we couldn't have advanced the ball into pay dirt territory without your help. Since our inception, we have isolated the defective gene, developed a diagnostic test, we have drugs that are coming into clinical trial. No, we haven't found the silver bullet yet, but we are in 4-down area. Obviously, our goal is to find a cure to this mysterious disease. Parents and grandparents shouldn't outlive their children or grandchildren. The Notre Dame family has been instrumental in our progress, and for that, you have our grateful thanks. As the years go by, visit this statue to say hello and tell your children or grandchildren your own story about being a part of this history. Stop a while and quietly listen to the echoes. They'll be there. Thank you.
Coach, if we could ask you to stand one more time, please. On behalf of the University of Notre Dame and everyone that has either played for you, coached with you, who have gotten to know you, we have 2 special gifts for you. Father John has a picture of the statue and 3 personal notes from Fathers Hesburgh, Malloy, and Father Jenkins.
You never stop working, do you? Hey. That's great.
And also, as I mentioned, we received literally hundreds of letters from some of Ara's former players and friends. And Kevin has a scrapbook that we've put together to help keep this memory alive for Ara and Katie and the family for a long, long time to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us this morning. As a reminder, Mass will be offered in the monogram room beginning at 11 o'clock, followed by brunch at noon. And at this time, I'd like to ask you to remain standing for the playing of the Alma Mater and the Notre Dame Victory March.